Let's take a look at the top headlines this hour. Death toll after the massive fire in a Hong Kong complex apartment rises to 55. More than 250 people remain missing. The Hong Kong police have arrested 3 construction company officials. Japan denies report that Trump told PM not to provoke China on Taiwan. Takaichi said in her reporting of the call with Mr. Trump that they discussed the US president's conversation with Xi as well as bilateral relations. China says Japan will pay painful price if steps out of line over Taiwan are taken. Labels Japan Prime Minister's Taiwan comments erroneous after reports of Trump call. Pak's Army Chief Asim Munir takes charge as the country's first Chief of Defense Forces. As Chief of Defense Forces, Munir's tenure has also been reset. Amendments have extended his tenure till at least 2030. Russia-Pakistan may launch direct flights due to expanding tourism. Russian Energy Minister Sergei mentioned that a strong interest among Pakistani citizens in visiting Russia. 11 people have reportedly lost their lives in a deadly train collision in China's southern province on Yunnan. At least 2 people have been injured in the collision. About by torrential rain in Afghanistan. In Indonesia's North Sumatra province, kills at least 61 people, with rescue efforts hampered by what an official described as a total cut-off of roads and communications. A bipartisan group of US lawmakers is urging the Trump administration to reject Myanmar's upcoming election, calling them a sham meant to legitimize the China-backed junta amid ongoing violence and repression. Now, let's move on to news from Hong Kong. At least 55 people have now been killed in the huge fire that swept through Wang Fuk Court, a high-rise public housing complex in Hong Kong's Tai Po district, with hundreds still unaccounted for. The blaze burned through 7 of the 8 towers, which together house around 4,600 residents. Fire crews have brought 4 buildings under control and hope to contain the remaining ones by evening. The thick smoke is still hanging over the area. Attention is now turning to how the disaster happened. Hong Kong police have arrested 3 construction company executives on suspicion of manslaughter. Adding to the pressure, the city's Independent Commission Against Corruption has opened a full investigation into potential corruption linked to the estate's recent renovation project, citing intense public concern. Now, I will shortly be joined in by Satoru Nagao, who's a fellow at the Hudson Institute. He'll be joining us live from Tokyo. In the meanwhile, let's tell you viewers that the incident has raised several questions as far as the cause of fire is concerned, and we're now joined in by Satoru Nagao live from Tokyo. Thank you for joining us here, Mr. Nagao. Now, primarily, please help us understand what is the cause of this fire. Now, at least 55 people have been killed.
Yeah, this is dangerous situation. Of course, situation has nearly calming down. Still, some building are under burning, but at the same time, situation is calming down. But at the same time, why is the matter? Generally, such kind of building is relatively tough against the fire because anyone worry about the fire, so that's why the system of the building preparing such kind of terrible incident. But this time the fire breaking out. After that, 7 other buildings are also under fire, and spread speed is very fast. So that's why this is not a common situation. So that's why the why is a matter, but there is a possibility. It's a stage to repair the building is the cause of the problem. Indeed, the stage in case of the Hong Kong style, traditional Hong Kong style, these kind of stage for repair are made by bamboo instead of the iron. Generally, other countries using the iron and making stage and repair the surface of the building is common, but in case of Hong Kong, this is bamboo. So that's why when the fire broke out, through these stages, fire spread very fast pace. And the broken bamboo with fire is falling down from the one building, but the wind brings these broken the bamboo stage, cause fire of the another building. So that's why this bamboo stage is indeed a very important factor. The many buildings under fire at the same time, and firefighters cannot deal with the many fire at the same time. So that's why this was big fire.
All right. And who should be held accountable given that so many lives have been lost and several hundreds still continue to remain missing?
This is this is nearly some hundred missing because this is 7 buildings, some thousand people are living. So that's why the 10% of these population is unknown their destiny now. So that's why this is a problem that is true, and that is so. This is big tragedy. This building is indeed nearly 40 years old, a relatively old building, but at the same time, still this building should be something fireproof. And originally that could happen, but this is under the repair system, in the traditional repair system, and this was this stage used bamboo. And the other reason is, of course, there's a possibility the fire detection system or sprinkler or other system is not enough, and if so, manager of the building will be the problem who should take charge. And at the same time, it is clear that construction company who are repairing the building by using the bamboo stage, of course, they should take charge of this indeed.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Nagao, for sharing that with us. But I request you to stay on as I move on to another story from Asia. Now, China has warned Japan that it will face a painful price if it crosses over the line over Taiwan. Now, the statement comes after Japan announced plans to deploy missiles on an island near Taiwan. Chinese officials said that any action by Japan that threatens China's security could trigger serious consequences. This marks the worst diplomatic crisis between the two nations in years. Now, Japanese leaders have indicated that a Chinese attack on Taiwan could prompt a response from Tokyo. Taiwan, however, rejects China's claims, emphasizing that only the island's people can decide their future. Experts warn that the region could see heightened tensions if either side takes military action, making this a story with global implications. Now, listen in first to what China's Defense Ministry spokesperson Jiang Bin had to say.
中国政府已向日方提出严正交涉和强烈抗议。台湾是中国领土不可分割的一部分，以何种方式解决台湾问题，实现国家统一，完全是中国内政，不容任何外部势力干涉。中方强烈敦促日方反省自身在台湾问题上的历史罪责，恪守一个中国原则和中日4个政治文件精神，停止挑衅越线，停止向台独分裂势力发出任何的错误信号。
Let's go back to our guest, Mr. Nagao, who is the fellow at Hudson Institute, joining us live from Tokyo. I thank you for staying with us. Now, Mr. Nagao, how do you see the Japanese response? Is it well prepared to really attack China if Taiwan, over the Taiwan question?
Of course, Japan is preparing such kind of emergency. It is no doubt because this is just side of Japan. The Yonaguni Island, western edge of Japan, is located only 100 kilometers from Taiwan. So if China start to invade, automatically this could be the war zone. And that's why Japan is preparing its, of course, natural way under such kind of geographical situation. But at the same time, recently China criticized anything about Japan's activity, and Japan's side hasn't replied anything to China's provocation. Why? Because China want to escalate, that's why this has escalated, and the Japan side do not have the hobby to escalate such kind of situation. So that's why only China escalate situation, and so if China stop, anything could be stopped. And in this case, some media report pointed that Japan is deploying the missile in the Yonaguni Island just side of Taiwan. And this is provocative, China side said, but this is not provocative because the range of this missile is 50 kilometers, and the purpose is anti-air. And in this case, from that island, China is 1,000 kilometer distance. So that's why 50-kilometer range missile is not a threat for China. Anyway, so that's why Japan side hasn't provoked China. China provoked Japan, and because China want to escalate this situation. There's a high possibility that China want to test new government of Japan, led by the Prime Minister Takaichi, and they want to know the skill of her. So that is the reason they try to escalate it. But so that's why, indeed, her remark is not a problem, or other thing is not a problem. Just China want to know the data and the skill of the new government of Japan.
All right, I now request you to stay on as we have some more information to give our viewers in this connection. Viewers, let's also tell you that Japan has denied reports that US President Donald Trump advised Prime Minister Takaichi not to provoke China over Taiwan. The claim, which was published by the Wall Street Journal, cited unidentified officials, but Japan's top spokesperson called it not factual. The row between Japan and China escalated after Takaichi suggested Tokyo could intervene militarily if Taiwan were attacked. Now, China responded strongly, summoning Japan's ambassador and warned citizens about travel to Japan. Japan denied any increase in crime among Chinese visitors, and Beijing has called for an official retraction of Takaichi's comments, warning that the remarks are seriously erroneous. The situation continues to strain Asia's two biggest economies. And let's bring back Mr. Nagao into the discussion here. Mr. Nagao, do you think China is using pressure tactics on Japan when it says that Trump has asked Japan not to provoke China any further? And Japan now, of course, has clearly denied that any such observation was made by him.
Okay, such kind of information, partial information leaked from the official of this negotiation has a purpose always. So what is the purpose of the US government? Indeed, the US government has two interests in case of China, in case of indeed Taiwan. In case of China, of course, China's invasion to Taiwan, the US want to deter China or dissuade China to do that. Of course, that is one thing. But another thing is, indeed, they worry about Taiwan. If Taiwan really gets confidence and declares independence, that is also the concern for the United States. So maintaining status quo is the best option for the United States, you think? So that's why the leaking information is intended one. One thing is sending the message to China. US is managing the situation, so no need to invade Taiwan. But another message is to Taiwan indeed. US do not wish escalation, so that's why by using the related with Japan, sending a message to Taiwan not to declare the independence even if Japan support or US support Taiwan. And so that's why, indeed, the intention of this leaking is not directly linked with Japan. So on Japan side say this is not fact. This is not fact. The President Trump do not need to say that Japan should not provoke China because Japan has not provoked China. President Trump already know that because Prime Minister Takaichi's remark in the National Diet is when US support Taiwan against China's invasion. In this case, Japan support United States, she said. That is the crisis of Taiwan is crisis for Japan. This legal system, automatically Japan can support the United States. So view from the United States, this is not a problem. This is the two countries has already agreed. So that's why this is not provocation. But by using the leaking this information, they want to send a message to Taiwan. We will protect you, but you should not declare the independence. But that's why they leak this. They try to create a situation and sending message to Taiwan, sending message to Japan. But indeed, the real listener that they expect is Taiwan.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Nagao, for joining us for now here at NewsX World and sharing your perspective with us. And with that, viewers, let's move on to news from Delhi in India, wherein some latest updates on the investigation on the Delhi car blast. A Delhi court has now extended the custody of Jasir Bilal Wani, a key accused in the Red Fort blast case, to 7 more days. Wani, who was arrested by the National Investigation Agency on November 17 in Srinagar, is accused of providing technical support for terror activities, including modifying drones and attempting to develop rockets ahead of the November 10 blast. Now, the explosion, which took place near Red Fort metro station, killed at least 15 people and injured 20. In a related development, the NIA has also arrested Soyab, a Faridabad resident, for allegedly helping Dr. Mohammed Umar, the man behind the car bomb. Soyab, a lab assistant at Al Falah University, is accused of assisting in the procurement of chemicals used in the attack. Now, the blast, deemed a terror incident by the Indian government, has prompted urgent investigation to bring the perpetrators and their associates to justice. And we now want to welcome retired Lieutenant General Raj Shukla, who is a former army commander, into the story. But before he joins us, let's tell you viewers, this is a big breakthrough in the investigation in the Delhi blast case, as more and more skeletons now open. In the latest, a person accused of helping the main mastermind has been held, and NIA is seeking further custody of the accused. All right, as we try to establish the connection with our guest viewers, let's tell you that Indian investigation agencies are taking further steps to get more custody of Wani, who's been arrested on November 17 in Srinagar, and in fact, he is the man that is suspected to be providing technical support for these terror activities, and in fact uses of drones and attempting to develop rockets are also some of the activities that have been suspected to be conducted by him. This explosion in India has killed 15 people and has drawn the attention of all the stakeholders involved with the Indian government, prompting to call it a terror attack, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi announcing that no one will be spared. In fact, in the related development, a Faridabad resident called Soyab was also arrested, and he was the one who was allegedly helping the mastermind, the suspected mastermind, Dr. Mohammed Umar. And now the lab assistant Soyab, who was working at the Al Falah University, is the latest one in custody, and in fact was allegedly procuring chemicals which were used in the attack. We're now joined in by retired Lieutenant General Raj Shukla, former Army Commander, live from New Delhi. I extend you a very warm welcome, retired Lieutenant General, and thank you for joining us here at News X World. Now, as more and more skeletons tumble open, do you think that this was a large nexus that had been under planning for a long time for such a terror attack to be carried out right in Red Fort? All right, I suspect there is some connection issue with our guest there. But viewers, that's a big update that we are bringing you as far as the Delhi blast case is concerned. And I believe we have been able to restore the connection with our guest, Lieutenant General retired Raj Shukla. Sir, am I audible to you?
Yeah, you are.
Okay, thank you for joining us. And now, with more arrests and NI seeking fresh custody, an extension of custody of the accused, we're now seeing how a person who was helping Umar Nabi with these terror activities and providing technical support has been arrested. This is clearly unraveling a larger, well-planned, well-coordinated nexus of terrorists. How do you see the unfolding of this nexus?
Internet connection है जो
All right, viewers, I do apologize for that technical glitch on our end, but for now we move on to another news. Russia and Pakistan are exploring the possibility of launching direct flights as tourism between the two countries continues to grow. Pakistani citizens have shown increasing interest in visiting Russia, and this trend is prompting authorities to focus on strengthening bilateral tourism. Travel companies from both the countries are preparing to collaborate, aiming to create new opportunities for tourists and enhance their travel experiences. The Russia-Pakistan Intergovernmental Commission is planning a key role in coordinating these initiatives and ensuring effective implementation. This development is anticipated to strengthen economic and cultural exchanges while also providing mutual benefits for both countries. Let's now shift our focus, viewers, to news specifically from Pakistan, where Pakistan's military has entered a new era of unprecedented power with General Asim Munir becoming the country's first Chief of Defense Forces on November 27. The historic move follows the passing of the 27th Amendment to the Pakistani Constitution, which consolidates military control by placing Munir at the helm of all three services, Army, Navy and Air Force. The changes also grant him extended power over Pakistan's nuclear weapons, effectively elevating him to a position of unmatched authority. The amendment abolishes the role of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Committee, a position that had been in place for nearly 5 decades. Munir's new role also extends his tenure to 2030, with his retirement date pushed back to 2027. He now has immunity from legal prosecution, a level of protection usually reserved for the country's president. Critics argue that this further reduces the civilian government's control over the military, giving the army more sway in political and military matters. The move has sparked concern that Munir's expanding powers could tip the balance of power further in favor of the military, leaving politicians in a subservient position. Asim Munir's rise to dominance mirrors the centralization of military power seen during past military regimes, with many experts warning that this shift could undermine Pakistan's political stability in the long run. All right, we now want to welcome retired Lieutenant General Raj Shukla, former Army Commander, into the discussion here. I extend you a very warm welcome, sir, and I hope you are able to hear me clearly.
Thank you very much.
So now with these powers, extended powers given to Asim Munir by Pakistan, do you think Pakistan is slowly and steadily shifting towards a military regime?
See how I see the consequences of the 27th Amendment to the Constitution, which you are referring to, specifically Article 243 regarding the control of the armed forces. I suspect what has happened is this, that after the complete military drubbing that Pakistan received on the 10th of May, when they faced a very severe existential threat, they are taking recourse to measures to strengthen the position of the army chief and the field marshal. What was de facto has become de jure. The field marshal rank has been codified in constitutional positions, and he has also been granted immunity from prosecution. See, the last time Musharraf conducted a coup in 2007,
Right.
he was charged with treason. So the Pak army and the Pak army chief, Asim Munir, they are taking all precautions so that they get complete, legal immunity from any wrongdoings in the future. The chief of army staff will also be the chief of the defense forces. They have created a national strategic command, or I think the 3-star heading the national strategic command will also be from the army. So this will lead to the complete marginalization of the Pak Air Force and the Pak Navy. In most modern democracies, you are moving to unification by way of integrating the 3 services in an equitable manner. Here you are doing the complete reverse by giving all powers to the army, which will actually weaken their operational finesse. This is an era of joint forces, integrated fights. If you weaken the army and the air force in this manner, it is good news. The second thing that has happened is that Pakistan is back to its old game, where the army is exercising complete control over the nuclear terror complex. With the 3-star heading the strategic command once again being only from the army, this position is not open to the Air Force and the Navy, and this 3-star being appointed by the Chief of Army Staff, the stranglehold of the army is complete. With the Jaish also largely being controlled by the army, you have this nuclear terror complex back in business, where under a nuclear cover they will go on a terror rampage. And by way of carrots to the Air Force and the Navy, they have said, oh, we will have an admiral of the fleet and the marshal of the Air Force. So as I said, it completes the marginalization of the Pak Navy and the Air Force. It has clipped the wings of the judiciary by appointing by creating this federal constitutional court. So what has really happened is that in Pakistan, the political leadership is of no consequence. With the wings of the judiciary being clipped and the Navy and the Air Force being completely marginalized, the undisputed Tsar is the chief of the army staff, who will also be the chief of defense forces. So Nawaz Sharif once said, vote ko izzat do. Shehbaz Sharif has turned it into boot ko izzat do. So this is actually heralding a new era in the banana republic that Pakistan is. So it doesn't worry me at all, because it is moving 400% in the wrong direction. Unko mubarak ho.
All right. Well, thank you, Lieutenant General, for sharing the Indian perspective with us. And I also want to now welcome Kaswar Klasra, who is the Editor-in-Chief at the Islamabad Telegraph, into the discussion here. Kaswar, thank you for joining us here at NewsX World. Now, if we talk about the rise of Asim Munir, he now appears to be the most powerful man in Pakistan. What kind of immunity does he really enjoy with this fresh amendment to the Constitution? And what do you think are some of the decisions now he's going to take?
Well, thank you for having me on the show. Let me tell you, it's not about the Banana Republic. The democratic forces in Pakistan have actually passed the 27th Amendment. It was not army that passed the amendment, rather the democratic forces. And it was not the Pakistan's Muslim League, Nawaz, or even the Prime Minister. Actually, the forces, I mean the political forces that included Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, Pakistan's People's Party, and other small parties as well. They were on the same page when it's come to pass the 27th Amendment. And 27th Amendment has not given power to a single man. Actually, this was a bid to centralize Pakistan's quick response, not only to the eastern border, but also on the western border as well. You know, the Pakistan, even with due respect to my senior colleague, who is there, Ambassador General Saab, actually, this is something that Pakistan has been aspiring for a long time to save, to give a command which can, you know, take quick reaction, whether it comes to war with India or even on the western borders as well. So it was a bid to centralize the power and in a state of war, and Pakistan have been in a state of war for many times, and even we are still in a state of war when it comes to eastern, western borders as well. So it was a humble bid to decentralize Pakistan's command. And definitely Asim Munir have given, Asim Munir has shown his capabilities, and I will not go into the detail as well. So I think, in my opinion, this is nothing about crippling the power of Pakistan's democratic powers. Democracies actually produce wonderful, you know, it has been the hallmark of the Pakistan Democratic Forces that they passed 27th Amendment just to give immense powers to its forces. And Asim Munir is definitely, he's a beneficiary, no doubt about that. But he has shown his powers, he has shown his capabilities as well. So in a nutshell, I think it was a humble, you know, a show of decentralizing Pakistan's democratic forces. And in a nutshell, all of the forces, I mean the Navy and Air Force and also the ground forces have been on the same page. And just to save, you know, the time and just to centralize the control and command system, Pakistan has been a fan for a long time. And I think it was one of the best decisions that the Pakistan Democratic Forces, Pakistan's political parties have